You know what is strange? People talk endlessly about boomers and their real estate. They analyze millennials and their spending habits. They write entire think pieces about Gen Z, side hustles, and the future of work. But there is one generation sitting quietly in the middle, managing money in a way that looks confusing until you understand what shaped them. Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980, is different. They are the co-worker who quietly built more wealth than younger people might imagine, but still acts like one missed paycheck could ruin everything. They are the uncle with $50,000 in savings who refuses to replace his 15-year-old Toyota. They are the friend who spends $500 on concert tickets, then uses coupons at the grocery store. At first it feels contradictory, but Gen X money habits are not random. They are survival responses from a generation that learned not to trust the system too easily. Picture this. It is 1983. A Gen X kid is 10 years old, standing in a bank with his father. He watches his dad deposit a paycheck from the same company he has worked at for 15 years. The teller knows him by name. The paycheck arrives every 2 weeks. There is a pension in the future, a savings account that still pays interest, and a mortgage that will be paid off on schedule. To that child, money looks simple. Work hard, save steadily, stay loyal, retire comfortably. The formula seems real. Now flash forward to 2008. That same kid is 35 years old. He followed the formula. He saved in a 401k. He bought a home. He trusted the idea of a stable company job. Then everything shook at once. His 401k was cut in half. His home value collapsed. His company started laying off people who had been loyal for 20 years. That was not just a financial shock, it was a betrayal. Gen X learned that the rules could change after they had already played by them, and that lesson shaped every dollar decision that came after. Here is the first strange thing about Gen X and money. They are deeply anxious about retirement, but they also save more consistently than many people expect. They do not fully believe the system will protect them, but they keep contributing anyway. They keep building the emergency fund. They keep checking the account. They keep preparing for the thing they hope will never happen. Psychologists call this defensive pessimism. It means you assume things can go wrong, so you prepare before they do. For Gen X, that is not just a mindset. It is a financial reflex. They watch pensions disappear. They graduated into uncertainty. Many bought homes before the crash. So when they worry, they are not being dramatic. They are remembering what happened. And maybe that is the real question. When a generation has been burned by the system more than once, is their fear actually irrational, or is it just experience speaking? Now let's talk about something Gen X understood before it became a trendy phrase, the side hustle. But for them, it was never really about chasing freedom online or quitting the 9 to 5 to follow a dream. For many Gen Xers, extra income was not a lifestyle choice. It was protection. They saw what happened when people depended on one job for everything. They watched companies downsize. They watched loyal workers get walked out after 20 years with a cardboard box and no real warning. That image stayed with them. So when a Gen Xer has a consulting gig, a small online shop, a rental property, or some kind of weekend work, it may not come from ambition alone. It often comes from fear. They are not just building income, they are building escape tunnels. Because in their mind, one paycheck is never completely safe. One employer is never enough, and one source of income can disappear faster than anyone wants to believe. Here is another thing that confuses people about Gen X. They can leave a job without much hesitation, but they may stay loyal to the same brand, the same coffee shop, the same jeans, or the same music for decades. That sounds strange until you understand the difference. Gen X does not have deep loyalty to institutions because institutions were the ones that disappointed them. Companies promised stability, then laid people off. Retirement plans changed. Corporate loyalty started to feel like a one-way deal, but people and products that prove themselves over time feel different. The coffee shop owner who remembers their order feels real. The brand they trusted in high school feels familiar. The product that never failed them feels safer than a company speech about values. So they are not stuck in the past. They are loyal to what did not lie to them. And for Gen X, trust is not given quickly. It is earned slowly. Now this is where Gen X becomes even more interesting. They often build emergency funds, save carefully, and worry about the future. But at the same time, they may spend big money on concerts, travel, and live events. At first, that looks like a contradiction, but it comes from the same place. They save because systems cannot always be trusted. They spend on experiences because things cannot always be trusted either. A house can lose value. A car can depreciate. Possessions can feel meaningless when the economy turns against you. But a concert, a trip, or a powerful memory cannot be repossessed. The bank cannot foreclose on the night you saw your favorite band. The market cannot erase the trip that changed how you saw your life. So maybe Gen X was not being reckless. Maybe they understood something early. In an unstable world, memories can feel like the only asset nobody can take away. And that raises a deeper question. If money can disappear, jobs can vanish, and assets can fall, what should people really spend their lives trying to protect? Gen X also has a complicated relationship with financial advice. Many of them would rather read, research, compare, and manage things themselves than hand everything over to a traditional financial advisor. But that does not mean they feel completely confident. In fact, they often worry they might be doing it wrong. They want control, but control also comes with anxiety. This makes sense when you remember how they grew up. Gen X came of age believing you could learn things for yourself. Read the book, build the spreadsheet, check the numbers, verify the advice, trust, but only after doing your own homework. Their attitude toward debt works the same way. They may accept a mortgage or business debt if the numbers are predictable and the outcome can be mapped. But credit card debt feels different. It feels like chaos. A mortgage has a payment, a timeline, and a finish line. Credit card debt can feel like quicksand. And then there are the paper records. Even if they use digital banking and cloud storage, many Gen Xers still keep physical files. Not because they hate technology, but because they believe in backup plans. Digital is useful, paper is proof. For a generation that watched systems fail, redundancy feels like common sense. So here is what Gen X money psychology really tells us. They are not confused. They are not random. They are not simply pessimistic. They are adapted. They adapted to an economy that promised one thing and delivered another. They were raised to believe that hard work, loyalty, savings, home ownership, and retirement plans would create security. Then they watched those promises crack under layoffs, recessions, debt, market crashes, and disappearing pensions. That is why they can look cautious and bold at the same time. They save because they know the system can fail. They spend on experiences because they know life cannot be postponed forever. They distrust institutions, but they deeply value anything that has earned their trust. They use technology, but they still keep paper. They carry debt when it has a purpose, but fear the kind of debt that quietly traps you. Gen X plays the game, but they never forget that the rules can change. And maybe that is the lesson for all of us. Your money habits are not random. They are responses to the world that shaped you.